Okay, beautiful. So welcome everybody. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm Kelsey and I am a yoga teacher and Ayurveda health practitioner. I'm from Edmonton, Alberta originally, and I spent some time out in Hawaii and New Zealand studying yoga and Ayurveda and other Vedic sciences. And I have been on Vancouver Island now for about the last year and a half. So very glad to connect with a lot of new faces from the island, actually. And so again, namaste, and I welcome you and very glad to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you as well. If you have any questions throughout, I'm going to talk a little bit first about our energy and how we use it or don't use it on a day-to-day basis and how that then impacts us. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or type in the chat box, and then we'll get into the actual meditation practice where you can learn specific tools that you can use in meditation. We practice them to use in day-to-day life. And that's really where our power is in the practices. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the screen here. Okay, so here we go. So the topic this evening is to own your space. And I wanted to offer this at this point over the holidays so you can feel clearly and consistently you, because what happens is over the holidays, there tends to be a whole lot more going on. Anybody have a whole lot more going on about now? Yeah, exactly. And then we tend to be around people that we may not necessarily be around all the time. And we can, and especially at a time right now where there seem to be very strong opinions about certain things one way or another, then being able to hold our space and own our space is a really empowering thing. And I'll talk about as well how this can be used not just in in the holiday season, but in any kind of situation, again, just to feel more clearly and consistently ourselves. So we are energetic beings in a body, and we are affected by the energies around us. So just raise your hand, those of you I can see on screen, if you resonate with that. Do you feel affected by the energies around you? Yes, 100%. Yes, 2 hands up, right? In some cases. So we are energetic beings in a body, and we are affected by the energies around us, and that's natural. And that is for better or for worse. We can be around people and energies who uplift us, and we feel brighter and lighter. Yeah, you can resonate with that. And then have you ever walked into a room and you just feel like, I need to get out of this space, or a gathering where it just doesn't feel right? So we're affected by everything around us. So we can learn to manage our energy then, so that we maintain our sense of self around what I'm calling, for our purposes tonight, powerful people, or people who have potentially a strong energy in one direction, because that's usually when we're going to feel pulled or pushed off our center, pulled off our center. And ultimately the practices of Ayurveda, which is if you're not familiar with Ayurveda, it's the sister science. It's considered the medical science or the health science related more to the body, of the same system that yoga is. So it's like yoga's sister science. Yoga is said to be more connected or more emphasized on the mind and the emotions and the breath, although it is holistic and acts on the body as well. And then Ayurveda, conversely, is more about the body, keeping the body healthy and increasing our longevity and healing from imbalance. But it also is all encompassing in the sense that it works on the mind and emotions as well. So in both of those systems, yoga and Ayurveda, the aim is to become attuned to what's natural, to become attuned to nature and ourselves as energy, so that we can walk through life less pulled around by our own minds and by how we're experiencing the effects of anything else around us. So we can own our space, and you're going to see this pretty much on every slide, because a lot of us feel like we need to avoid certain people, places, or situations, or we feel uncomfortable in them because we don't really feel we can own our space. And so even at the post office, for example, when you're in the lineup at this time of year and there's a lot of frustrated people in there, then that can rub off on us. But we can own our space in any situation in life. And most people will match the stronger energy in the room. So a person who has a stronger energy, most of us will tend to match that. And when we do that, we're left feeling drained, overwhelmed, overpowered, and not quite ourselves, because we've lost our connection to how we want to set our energy, how we want to run it, and we've matched someone else's. So when we learn to hold our space, we maintain our energy and vitality no matter who or what we're around. So that's the word drained. I feel drained around a certain person. For those of you who might be teachers, or even just certain acquaintances or friends or family members, it just feels draining sometimes to be around certain people. But when we learn to hold our space, we maintain our energy and vitality so we don't actually end up feeling drained. We stay connected to our truth and our clarity, and we build trust in our strength to stay true to ourselves. So our power also in healthy relationships with ourselves and with other people is in holding our space. And two tools that we can use to own our space are setting our aura, using a rose filter, and I'm going to add in one more piece there, is setting our crown chakra. Our crown chakra at the top of the head, Sahasrara, the seventh chakra is the energy center that's connected to our knowingness. And that's what we'll change that color to match a stronger energy potentially. And then we won't feel as good, or we'll just feel uncomfortable because we're letting everyone's energy in our space, and then we'll want to get out of that situation, which isn't always a bad thing. And we can, but sometimes, we're in a situation where we need to stay in the situation and participate in that. So we're going to go ahead and begin the guided meditation component of the practice today, so that you can have an experience of how you can own your space and utilize these tools in meditation tonight, but also as you go about your holiday endeavors. Whether that's holiday last minute shopping that you're doing, being around friends, family, being in the post office line, any of that. And then at the end of it, I'll also talk about how you can expand this into different areas of life as well. So you can go ahead as you're ready and come into a comfortable seated position. And if you are in a space where you can if you're feeling ungrounded and you're in a place where you can have your feet on the ground, that's great because that'll help ground you. Otherwise, again, anything comfortable for you is great. And then spine should be tall. Go ahead and close your eyes. Let the eyelids become heavy and they'll draw down. And the eyes will close. So much about Ayurveda, so much about yoga is about learning to connect with space. How are we interacting with the space that we're in, with the space around us? So you can begin by noticing, how do you feel in the space of the room that you're in? What does that energy feel like? Do you feel comfortable in that space? Do you feel a little bit stimulated? Do you feel at ease? And then how do you feel in the space of your aura, that energetic bubble that surrounds your body? So bringing in your attention and your awareness, how do you feel in the space of your aura. And then bringing it in a little closer, how do you feel in the space of your body? What does that body space feel like? Does it have any messages for you? Any sensation? And then how do you feel in the space of your breath? And finally, how do you feel in the space of your mind? What does that mental space feel like? In particular, does it feel settled? And just observing, just practicing being that witness. And then shift your attention into the center of your head. So your center of your head is a space that's just behind your eyes and in between your ears. So dropping your attention back into that space. And notice if it feels easy, if you just slipped right into that space or if you were already naturally there. Or if it feels like there's a little interference with settling. Sometimes you might move into the center of your head and then pop back out. So this center of your head is a space for you. It's your space. You get to own it. And you get to be in it. A place where you have the opportunity for greater neutrality and even-mindedness, more equanimity. If you're not used to being in the center of your head, then it can feel a little bit different. And then I just would like you to play around with that. Now imagine moving your attention to the front of your face. And how does that feel differently? If you imagine your attention, you're looking out right from the between the eyes, bridge of your nose. And this is how a lot of us will operate in life. We'll operate with our attention right at the front of our face. And that keeps us out of the truest clarity that we can have, the truest centeredness. And then shift your attention back into the center. Bring it back right behind the eyes and in between the ears. Then go ahead and shift your attention now. See if you can step it back to the back of your head. Right to the back of your skull. And notice how that feels for you. In many cases, we'll move our attention to the back of our head when we're attempting to withdraw. So there's an even bigger distance in terms of our attention and what's out in front of us. And then come back to the center of your head. Again, that space just behind the eyes and in between the ears, your place. And this is a space, again, where we have the opportunity to connect most deeply to our answers, our inner answers. We know We always know what our truth and our path is. And this space allows us to access that. So now, from the center of your head, now that you're in the center of your head, imagine the space of your aura. So your aura being the energetic bubble about 18 inches or half a meter on all sides of you. And so bring it to that point. You might notice that your aura expands out or comes in at various points in the day, various situations, and that's very natural. There's no right or wrong place for the aura to be. But for right now, let's bring it around the body, about half a meter or 18 inches on all sides, like an egg shape. And just notice, are you centered in your aura? Or is it a little bit to the front of you or a little bit to the back? Sometimes it gets squished in at the sides. Go ahead and adjust your aura so that it's even all around you. And this is where somewhere in this range is where we'll tend to feel most balanced. And there's 7 layers of the aura, and each layer is associated with a chakra, one of the energy centers. So in the practices of yoga, those of you who've practiced yoga, asana, pranayama, even meditation, what the practices do is they harmonize the chakras and the layers of the aura. And they bring them into a balanced place. And so now go ahead and bring your aura in really close to you. Bring it in really tight around your skin. And notice how that changes how you feel. And if you feel that you're checking out during this meditation, that you're falling asleep almost, don't worry about it. Just come back and listen. As spirit, you're hearing things. And it just means that we're waking up maybe parts that have been a little bit sleepy, parts of your awareness. So bring in your aura really tight around you and notice how that feels. And we'll tend to bring our aura quite tight around us if we feel like we need to be protective. But it can lead to a feeling of being pressed in. And when we feel depressed, if you have times, let's say you're in the holidays and you're not able to be around your family, you might notice that your aura is pulled in and you might want to expand it out. So now go ahead and expand your aura back to 18 inches or half a meter on all sides of you. And now go ahead and do the opposite. Make your aura as big as the room that you're in, or as big as your town or city, or even as big as the island. And notice how that feels when you stretch your aura out really big. And then go ahead and bring your aura back to that about 18 inches, half a meter on all sides of you. Notice how your body responds. So how we hold our aura reflects in how our body will respond to life. So when we tend to spread it out, then we can tend to feel more scattered. And the interesting thing to pay attention to is which of those 3 places pulled in or at this medium point or spread way out, which of those felt most comfortable to you? Where are you used to holding your space? So when we talk about owning our space, then one of the things is to be aware of where our aura is set. So let's say you're going into any kind of a situation, whether it's a holiday situation or something related to your employment or with a client or student, then just being aware before you go in, where is my aura set? Is it pulled in really tight? Is it stretched out really far? And bring it into about 18 inches or half a meter, and you can adjust it a little bigger or smaller as you like. And then imagine setting the boundary of your aura. So you can imagine a star at the top of it that just spreads around and it sets the edge of your aura for you. defines it for yourself. So that's one step in owning your space. From there, you can add the second piece of putting a filter at the front edge of your aura. So imagine at the front edge of your aura, we'll use a rose for our purposes today. And a rose typically tends to be a neutral symbol that we're going to use to clear energy with these techniques or work with energy. So imagine that rose at the front of your aura. And you just imagine it there, and you might see it or you might just imagine. And that's you putting up an energetic filter. So that as you go into a situation where energy might be coming at you, then you've defined the edges of your aura and you've put out a filter to bring in or to keep out anything that you don't want to keep out. Bring in whatever you want to bring in. And then just sit with that feeling. When you do this in real time, you can do it with your eyes open or your eyes closed. Sometimes it's nice to just step out of a situation and just feel your feet on the ground and define the edge of your aura, set out a rose filter in front of you. But you can also just do it literally in a moment when you realize, oh my goodness, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed or a little bit overpowered. You can do it with your eyes open, setting the edge of your aura and imagining that rose filter out in front of you. So now let that imagery dissolve. And even though you let it dissolve, that imagery is still there, still going to be working for you. And then the second, so we're going to combine those as one technique, setting your aura and putting up a rose filter. And the second is that crown chakra, owning your space with your crown chakra, that energetic center that's at the crown of your head, related to your knowingness and related to how you present yourself in the world as well. So right now, take a look at your crown chakra. What color is it set at? You might see a color, or if you don't see, no problem. What is the first color that comes to mind? That is the color. And if you don't know, ask yourself, if I did know, what would it be? So what is your crown chakra color? And then ask yourself, is that my color? Or is that a color I matched to someone else earlier in the day? Again, there's no right or wrong answer. Just ask that for yourself. And if there's nothing clear, it's just, what is that first instinct? If you said, well, if I did know, is this my color or not? And it may be, and that's great. And it may not be, and that's great as well, because you're looking at it now and can then do something about it. So then ask yourself, what color do I want my crown chakra set at? And again, the colors don't necessarily mean certain things because they'll relate to different aspects of us energetically on a daily basis. But if you just asked, what do I want my crown chakra color set at? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Or what do you sense? Or what do you see? And still sitting, notice if you've left the center of your head or if you're still in that space. If you've left it, come back. Just imagine looking at that chakra. So before you're going into any interaction where you have a sense that, oh, this is, in these types of interactions, I might feel like I go off my center, then set your aura, put up a rose filter and just check in. What is the color of my crown chakra? And is this where I want it to be? Or if you find yourself there, I've been in situations where also I find myself in very interesting and maybe quite intense conversations, and my energy feels quite intense too. You can just look and say, okay, what color do I want my crown chakra to be? And if you feel yourself acting or reacting in a way that maybe you don't want to, you can always just say, okay, what's the next highest vibration of color for me right now? So ask yourself, what is your crown chakra color? And what is the next highest vibration that you can change that to? And again, there's no right or wrong. It's totally dependent on how your energy is running today. Whatever you see or sense or comes to mind as a thought. And then change that crown chakra color to that vibration. And these tools, as you learn them over time, they're meant to be playful. So you can imagine like a paintbrush painting your crown chakra, if you like, if that helps. It might just change color, and that's great. You can also paint it and make it visual for yourself. Have that imagery. And then go ahead and let that imagery go and just notice now how you feel. How do you feel in the space of your mind? How do you feel in the space of your breath? What is the quality of your breath right now? How do you feel in the space of your body? So the beautiful thing about these energy management techniques, that these techniques I've taught today come from, is that the body responds to imagery. The body and us as spirit communicate with one another. And the body communicates to us through sensation and emotion. And we communicate to the body through imagery as a technique, also through breath. When we show the body imagery, it responds. So how do you feel in the space of your body? Does it feel different? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Just observe. How do you feel in the space of your aura? Can you be aware of your aura defined around you? Just say hello to that rose filter out in front, recognizing that it's still there. And then how do you feel in the space of the room that you're in? So this is you learning how to own your space and how to hold your space. And that's the reason why a lot of us will tend to, to do connecting practices, to refine our space, and to learn how to maintain that through practices of yoga, going outside in nature, any other connecting practice that we might engage in. And then these particular tools help us to just work with what's happening again in our interactions with others on a moment-to-moment basis, because we are energetic beings in a body and we respond to the energies in and around us. So take a couple of deeper breaths. Be with your attention in the center of your head, just behind the eyes and in between the ears, and deepen your breath. Start to come back into the physical experience a little more directly. And as you breathe, practice the 3-part breath, the yogic breath. As you inhale, expand your belly, and then your ribs will flare, and then your chest will spread as the 3rd part of the breath. And keep the spine tall as you exhale. And then breathe in that way for a few more breaths. Inhale, the belly expands, the ribs flare, and the chest spreads. And then exhale, spine stays tall, head stays up on top. And so full breathing also is a way that we keep our aura fluffed, keep our energy present. And then as you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes, because there is a transition that takes place as we move from our inner to our outer world. So just let that be a slow, conscious transition, no rush. And then take a moment to notice how you feel now. Different than 25 minutes ago. Mm, good. So if you have any questions about the practices, please feel free to raise your hand, or you can type into the chat box. If you have any comments as well of anything that you may have noticed, it is helpful to express what you may have felt, whether you choose to type a comment in or choose to just do a little bit of journaling, because what that does is it helps us to validate our experience of ourselves on the energetic plane. So as you're thinking about that, I'm just going to share with you what you can, if you're interested in learning more about how to manage your energy, different steps that you can take. So again, you have these tools that you can use now. So how do you learn more about how to manage your energy? It's by doing it. So first of all, the first step is to take these tools, jot them down. And so my aura, define my aura, set my rose filter, and then start to pay attention to my crown chakra. And as you just do that in life, you're going to learn more about yourself. We experiment to experience. And so as we experiment with these tools, in particular today, then we have an experience. For those of you who would like to learn the tools in sequence, much broader in terms of their application to life, then I do have a 12-week program, Energy Management and Intuitive Development, that's starting in January. And I say it's more important now than ever before, because there's so much energy out there and there's so much confusion and conflicting opinions and information, that being able to connect to our answers and our truth is incredibly valuable. And because physical health is something that is very important to most of us, and something that is a lot more delicate seeming these days. And our physical health is largely dependent on our mental and emotional health and ease. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we are energetic beings in a body, and learning to work directly with our energy body, which you learned tools to do that today in meditation, but also in life, enhances our pursuit of yoga by allowing us to master the mind. So for those of you who are yoga practitioners, heal our body and access our innermost truth on a conscious moment-to-moment basis. We get to take that feeling of wholeness that we usually experience on the mat, and start to translate that more steadily, more consistently in our lives. And then within this empowerment, we end up being more clear, more secure, and more confident in our work, in our practice, in our teaching or work with clients, if we do that kind of thing, our relationships, and our purpose in life. And so in this series of classes, you'll learn how to ground, clear, and own your energetic space, of which these tools today were a sample. Work with your aura and your chakras directly, see what's going on with them, and be able to make a shift as needed or as wanted. Access your inner answers, live your life from your innate wisdom, and more. So the tools all build, and again, this broad application in life. And then the physical, mental, and emotional states will thrive and reflect in the quality of our life and our relationships as well. So that program, the details, it's Thursday night starting January 6th at 5:30 Pacific time on Zoom, our friend Zoom. Many of us are familiar with Zoom these days. And it's 250 Canadian. And the email registration is here, or you can email me and I can give you details. And so Sacred Seed Yoga is a studio in Edmonton, and my dear friend there, Amin, is going to be managing the registrations for it. So now I'm going to stop my share for a moment and see if anyone wanted to raise their hand or wanted to type anything in the chat, and if you have any questions or if you have any comments about how you experience the meditation, how you're experiencing yourself in any of those spaces that we discussed. Space of your room, the space of your aura, the space of your body, your breath, or your mind. All right. Well, okay, good. Here we got a comment here. Tracy's breaking the ice. Thanks, Tracy. Lots of shifts physically. Notice the holding spots and releases. Yeah. Yeah. And some of you may have felt it quite viscerally. And some of you may not have. And all of that's okay. The thing is that we're taking steps to start to create a connection with our energy body. And some people can access that more clearly, and some people take a little bit of time. And it will also depend on the day. Sometimes it'll be there for you, and sometimes it's going to take a little more. But it does. The whole idea is that as we work with the energy, the body responds, so that so things will shift physically, even if you're not feeling it. But if you keep using these tools, for example, they will work for you. In the practices of yoga, it said that in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali that we must work must practice consistently and persistently over a long period of time. And the reason is because one of the other yoga texts, Bhagavad Gita, says that we forget. It's natural, no matter how enlightened we are, we will at some point forget everything that we know. So we just need to keep going and keep establishing ourselves in these practices. Great. And Karen shared she really likes the setting of the aura and the rose filter. And I don't know if any of you saw my Instagram post about this, but I did share about the very first time I actually used these tools in my real life. And I was going into a meeting with an employer, and I was working in a store in a mall. And I remember I was terrified of this woman. She just was a very strong personality. And I was walking through the mall with my aura set and my rose in front of me. And it was so incredible, because that rose filter led into me being able to hold my space in that interaction and not get as thrown off. And then, when we do get thrown off, we just come back. Good. And then Tracy shared, my aura was red to start and I was able to shift it to gold. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty incredible. And again, what you'll notice is that, again, there's no wrong way to run our energy, and there's no wrong way to hold our space, but because we're always doing something with our aura, we're always doing something with our energy, but most of the time it's unconscious. So for example, my aura is red, and maybe that actually doesn't feel quite like me, but we won't know that if we're not looking. And then we have the opportunity to make the shift. And so gold is a nice color. Yeah, it feels good. And then Jane, I like the idea that body responds to imagery. Yeah, it does. And again, the body and the mind and the energy and the emotions are not separate. And one of the things that we'll work on in future classes with this is running your energy and neutralizing energy. So when you have taken someone's energy into your space, what do? How do you neutralize that? How do you calm the body down? Because the body, we are, again, energetic beings in a body. I like that phrase, so you'll probably hear it often. But the body experience and the emotions that we feel, whether for better or for worse, are part of the human experience. And the more we can learn to stay calm and clear as emotions come and go, again, the better our physical health is, the better our mental health is, and the more stable our emotions can be. And all of that is part of learning how to live a self-healing and self with a capital S, self-sustaining life, where we don't have to look outside of us to try to feel whole and complete, that we can show up in our wholeness because we're building that for ourselves on a moment-to-moment basis, or if not moment to moment, as often as we remember to. but over time, it builds more and more. The practices of yoga, of Ayurveda, of working with your energy are all cumulative. So any effort that we put forth, whether you remember once a week to, oh, my rose filter, or whether you remember several times a day, it's all valuable and it will all fruit for you. And then Hayden shared fantastic and easy to understand. Yeah, you know, it is. It's actually simple. However, it's so funny. Like the simplest things sometimes are the hardest. So it's great that it's simple. It's easy to understand, and then we just need to start to use it as well in our lives. But yeah, the thing about the tools is when my teacher, who I first learned these from, she would say, act like you're in kindergarten. And that the place where she studied in California, they had a big sign on the wall that said, welcome to kindergarten, because it's all, it's meant to be simple. It's meant to be straightforward, because it's our minds really that complicate things. And so when we start to get into our energy body, our feeling body, then we start to see that actually things can be simpler than we often make them. And again, coming back to the practices of Ayurveda and yoga as a whole, so much of it is about learning how to live a simpler, more naturally aligned life. So that's wonderful. Okay, well, thank you. And if you have anything else to share, please do. Or if you want to unmute and ask, then that's great too. But it was lovely to see you all. I just want to share my screen one more time because close the chat box there. Oops. Okay. Sharing is paused. Okay. You can see it now, correct? Yeah. Okay. So next week I am having an intention setting workshop as well. So we're going to use a different tool that you can use to set your intentions for 2022 as the topic, since we're at the end of the year. But you can also use this particular tool to set your energy for a project that you're working on, for an interaction that you might be having, like maybe you need to have a discussion with someone, for a vacation. So it can be any current or new endeavor that you have, but we're going to use it specifically for entering the new year. And that's on Wednesday. So it's a week from today, same time, same place, but I will send out a new link for those of you who have registered. And in that practice, we will do about 20 minutes of yoga asana just to get the energy physically moving and more harmonized. And then we'll do the energetic intention setting where we'll use the energy management tool. And then we'll do a restorative pose to integrate that. So that is next Wednesday. And have a beautiful holiday, owning your space and grounded in your sense of self. So again, for me, it's helpful to write things down. And I actually literally put new things that I learn in my calendar so I can remember to do them 3 times a day or something, just to get used to it. But we can learn to own our space and just start to play around with the tools and see how that starts to shift. Even if you're going to be interacting with someone later tonight, maybe there's someone you live with or a call you need to make. Just imagine setting your aura and putting out that rose filter. And that's actually one final point I will make, is you can use these tools when you're physically around people, but phone calls too. It's very effective if you're going to be talking to someone. You can go ahead and imagine that your aura and your rose filter, that's just there for that conversation. And yeah, that's all I have for my slides here. So, oh good, we have someone brand new to Zoom today. That's fantastic. Zoom is a really great platform. It's so nice to be in person, but it's just such a funny time. And to be honest, it's been so nice to connect with people that I wouldn't be able to connect with if it wasn't for these kind of platforms. So yeah, you are so welcome, everybody. And yeah, and again, I hope that you enjoy, play around with it. We're meant to play. Life is a playground, really. Sometimes it doesn't seem like that, but the more, again, that we connect with ourselves as energy, the more we can start to laugh at ourselves. Like, oh, there I go, matching my crown chakra to whatever it is. Okay, what color do I want it to be? So let it be playful. And again, if you ever get to the point where you're like, oh, I don't know. I can't read my energy. Then just ask yourself, if I did know, what would it be? Because you do know, always, always. And part of the tools is learning to access that knowing that you already have. So great. With that, I hope to see you again. Keep in touch. And again, have a beautiful holiday if you celebrate. And awareness of where your mind is on a daily basis and what you're doing with your energy and how you can start to shift that is one of the things that you can play around with in your life. So
thank you, Kelsey.
You're so welcome. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
And I will send out a recording as well to everyone so you can listen back, or if you like as well.
Yay. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
So welcome. Yes.
Nice to finally meet you.
I know. I've talked to Tracy by email. And so, yeah, I hope to talk to more of you soon too.
Awesome. We'll see you on the 29th.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Happy holidays, you guys.
That was great.
Nice to see you.
I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Good. Have fun with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I put you on gallery. There we go.
I don't know how we're going.
Yeah, good. Yeah, there should be an end leave button at the bottom of the screen.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That was great. Thank you.
Yes, I'm glad that you were able to join, Deneen. Sorry
Yes.
that
It was just at the end, somebody phoned me right when I was signing in.